Hello and welcome to Corner Comics, your weekly comic book reading club. My friends and I get together. We pick a few books each week and we share them with each other, and then we talk about those books. I am the Burkhoff, and I'm joined by my friends, Russ and Emmanuel. Gentlemen, how are you doing this weekend?
Great, and still I rise.
I like that.
I am absolutely and utterly amazing.
Very good. All right, we've got two picks each. Again, I'm still debating whether we should change up the format a little bit, and I'm curious what you guys' thoughts are in terms of the two book format that we do.
As opposed to one book,
One
as
book,
opposed to
one book and a topic, or something else entirely.
I could do one book and a topic. I'm easy
Yeah.
on that end. I I don't know. I'm open to change it just to try something new. I don't know if there's a specific goal to get to. Maybe I don't know if it's a time issue or any of those other things, but uh, yeah, just change it up and tell me what it is, man. I'm there with you.
All right.
I'm all for it.
Just curious, and also throwing it out there on the podcast at the beginning. So if anybody wants to comment and let us know what
Yeah,
their
what do you
thoughts
want us
are
to do?
on the format and
And
how.
maybe send some emails and we will answer your questions.
um, so yeah, let's we'll run down the books that we've got. My two picks for the week: Star number one. This is a offshoot from the Captain Marvel books, and Star is a newer character in the Marvel universe. This is one of five, so it's only a 5 issue run that they're doing, and I guess if it does well, we'll see. Maybe she becomes a more permanent character. My second book is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number three. This is a Boom Studios book, obviously licensed. This is also from this year. I think this is also a 5 issue run, and number three is the most recent one that's out. Russ, what are your two picks?
Okay, my two picks are, because I wasn't ready, my two picks are X-Men number four. This is a book that came out this year, 2020, part of the new run. And On the Stump, which is, well, I don't really want to spoil it. We'll talk more when we get into the issue. But On the Stump is a brand new comic, and it also just came out this year.
Emmanuel?
All right, my two issues are Tomorrow. It's a Dark Horse comic. This is the first issue of five that came out this year, and my second issue is a DC comic. It's called Strange Adventures, and it's about Adam Strange.
All right. I'm going to jump right into the first issue then. Transition here. So, Star issue number one, I picked this up because it was a number one issue and a new Marvel character, and I sat on it. And then I went to the shop, I think 2 weeks ago is when issue two came out. And I saw Scarlet Witch on the cover, and I said, oh shit, what did I miss? Let me pick up issue two and go back and read issue one. So basically, Star, like I said, she's from the Captain Marvel universe. She has the Reality Stone bonded with her body, and this has given her powers to alter reality, basically. And she's learning how to use these abilities, and isn't really sure what the full extent of her power is. Um, that's sort of what issue one is, and yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on the issue?
Uh,
All right,
Go ahead.
all right. I really liked the art. The art was nice in that it was, I don't know, it didn't really super duper stand out to me, but it felt right. Like it, I wrote in the show notes, I appreciate the art. That kind of culminates my attraction to it. I really appreciate it. It's not a character of its own in the comic, but it lends a subtle hint or a subtle help to the storyline. Now, speaking of the storyline, Star, I think, is going to be a really important character, or really influential character with other characters. She doesn't seem like this series is going to be a lot of issues. I think that she will be somewhat of a supporting character, but an important supporting character. I like it so far. I'm interested, question mark, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so I read the Captain Marvel run where
Okay.
Star was introduced. And Star is a straight up evil villain. Okay? To give you the extent of her evil villainy, Captain Marvel began losing her powers. It is because Star conspired with Captain Marvel's enemies to steal them.
Hmm.
So she had Captain Marvel's powers, and while they were fighting, she was taking more of her power from her. And then, almost beating Captain Marvel, Captain Marvel found a way to block her from stealing her powers, and she started stealing it from humanity. Anybody on the street, she just started absorbing and taking their life force to fuel her powers. And the way that Captain Marvel beat her was to punch through her and take the technology out of her that enabled her to do that. And so you see, that's what you see in the book, the hole in her. The Captain Marvel straight punched a hole in her.
Right.
She went to jail, right? She did this publicly. She stole people's life force, people on the street, kids, whatever, just like try to steal the whole city just so she can beat up Captain Marvel, right? So villain, right? Now, while she's in the raft and everything else, somehow the reality stone ends up inside her,
Right.
right? Still a villain. The powers don't make the, clothes don't make the man, you know what I mean? Still you, right? So here she is with this power. And if you read, as you read through the book, you see she's just the arrogant bitch that just wants people to do what the fuck she wants, right? Which includes get out of my way, don't fuck with me, right? This is a mind with the power of the reality stone, change reality, Franklin Richards level power. That's a self-centered bitch, right?
Yeah.
Now, the art reminded me of a DC book, sort of Batman-ish in a way, though without the Batman without the powers. The art reminded me of, I could see Batman drawn in this way, and it would be a normal, average Batman book. So that's what the art was reminiscent of for me. And I feel for her because they draw her and they try to give you sympathy, but I already know she tried to kill people, right? I'm biased. Now, if first person reading this book doesn't have that past, all they see is somebody punched a hole in her and she almost died, and here she is still suffering PTSD from whatever, right?
Well,
that's how the book starts.
They do allude to it with Jessica Jones towards the end of the issue.
Yeah, right? She's a fucking villain, right? And then she don't want to get bullied by other villains, so she powers up to kick anybody. Basically, she will do whatever it takes to get whatever she wants. She does that through the whole book. Am I wrong? Doesn't matter if people are hurt. It doesn't matter if people are inconvenienced. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm not mad at her doing that to Loki because Loki is the same way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But you're going to do that to Jessica Jones? Right.
Right.
So my thing is, where's the hero part?
Well, me not knowing anything about her beyond this book, I was kind of on her side until she began to light the club on fire. She was standing outside of the club that she just got knocked out of, and she was just about to warp reality to make it burn. I'm thinking like, this necessarily isn't a person that I want to talk to or be around or associate with, because before I was liking her, the hole in the chest. Oh, she's been through something. Oh, poor you. And then lighting a whole club on fire because you got thrown out of it or beat up and knocked out of it. And there's complete innocence there, even if it is a villain bar. There's people that at least innocent for that day, for that moment. So
yeah. So she did that. That was all in the first act.
What if?
Right?
All right. So what if this 5-issue miniseries is her arc to redemption?
Well, she got to do a lot to convince me. But first of all, the first issue, she ain't going in the right direction.
No,
No. You see what she did? Try to burn the bar. See what she did to Jessica Jones, right? I'm gonna make your mind do what the fuck I want. Really?
Yeah.
You really think that she gonna be resolving 5 issues? She not the Punisher. She ain't killing villains. The Punisher always redeemed himself because he kills villains. And we allow that, right? I'll allow it. Right? Right? All right, let's just see, even Venom. Venom was a straight up murderer, right? But Venom took a lot of years to get to redemption. Now he's anti-hero, right?
Right.
Not saying, but still, it's all the other spin-off Venoms that are now evil, right? Or Cletus Cassidy and all this other sort of stuff. You really think this bitch gonna redeem herself in 5 books? This is a straight up villain book. Look, I love Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom is the greatest, right? Doctor Doom is the greatest. Doctor Doom is everything I want Lex Luthor to be. And I'll read a Doctor Doom book from cover to cover, right? But I believe in Doctor Doom, right? I believe at least he thinks he's doing shit that for the right thing, right? This bitch she's doing whatever the fuck her mood takes her. You don't give a moody bitch the reality stone. Okay, I'm off at that. You go ahead.
So I will spoil book 2 just a little bit. There is Scarlet Witch shows up at the end of this book, right? And she says, "I'm gonna need you to knock that shit off right now. You're screwing up everything." Ripley. Ripley's is Star, right? And I do mean everything. So the book 2 starts with them sort of on a journey together, and Scarlet Witch is explaining a little bit about how her powers work, and explains a little bit about Scarlet Witch's own powers and how she taps into reality and how her hex works. And the reason that she even found Star was because she was causing ripples in reality, type of deal. I think, honestly, I mean, I don't know if this is where it's actually going, but I think by the end of issue 5, we're going to have a solid, interesting hero, which has some some interesting perspectives,
Okay, is Loki a hero?
We've never seen hero or no villain to hero. It's always been villain to anti-hero.
That's the best he can hope to get is anti-hero.
Do you think she'll ever become a hero?
Because, no.
I mean,
maybe.
I don't know.
Jealous of Look. Is Loki a hero?
No, he's just psychotic.
Right? This is a psychotic bitch with the reality stuff. Right? But yet we'll read Loki books, right? From cover to cover. Because Loki's interesting, right?
Yeah.
She is a spoiled, you know what I'm saying? What is redeemable about her? Is it that you feel for her because she got punched through her chest? What else other than that? Is it because she's pretty?
No.
I mean, what is it about her that makes you see hero in this?
Well,
that she's even worthy of the nom de plume.
I think it's interesting from a story perspective to have somebody actually change. We see so often especially in superhero comic books, just the status quo. These are the characteristics of a hero, and that's it. And these are who these people are, and they just continue that ad infinitum. Mm-hmm. This changes things up just a little bit in that, yes, she does have all of these characteristics that are not conducive to heroism, but could that person change, and are there events that could influence this person to be something different than what they are? Like I said, I don't know if that's where it's going, but that's kind of where I feel
it would
like
be interesting to see. But if they do that shit in 5 issues, I'm done.
Really? That wouldn't be the mark of great storytelling?
No, because successfully is the operative term. If they write that shit's done in 5 issues, that she changes her fundamental nature.
But you have all of reality that you can warp. I mean,
so that as a tool. That's the only way is that she warps herself. Right? This is the only possible way that she can be redeemable, is that she use reality stone to change herself.
That would be very Saturday morning, or late night, or Saturday afternoon. Afternoon television special episode version.
Is Black Adam a hero?
I'm saying where a comic book character can manipulate outer elements, and then by issue 5, they realized that what they really needed to manipulate was their very self. Was their heart.
Yes, how very Airbender Avatar of it.
Exactly. I think it would work.
what is it, Saturday afternoon special, after school
Exactly.
special. That's what it is,
After
after
school
school
special.
special. Well, if they do that shit in 5 issues, that's the only way. And still, I'm gonna be mad. She still better be redeeming herself for the next 50 issues after that, because you don't see. If your child happened to be across the street in Brooklyn at the time of their battle, they would probably have died if Captain Marvel didn't punch her through her chest. They would be dead. And she had no, look, did you hear any remorse in her words? Did any remorse come across the pages? No. Oh, I got a hangover. What the fuck do you want now? Burn, bitch, burn.
All right.
Sorry, you know.
Finish it.
And on that note, I will move on to the next one so that we can get through all these. But I like the conversation of that one. So that was a good pick, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah.
All right. My second issue, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, issue number 3. Russ, you're always saying let him play with the toys.
Yes.
I picked up this issue purely on what the hell, this is crazy. This is, like ultimate nostalgia combination for me as a kid. I was a huge Turtles fan. I was a pretty big Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fan. And I started flipping through and I saw just how fluid the artwork was and was like, holy shit, I wish that I could have drawn like that when I was a kid. And all these feelings started to flood back from when I was, younger. And this is me playing with action figures when I was a kid. This is, I had the Turtles and I had the Power Rangers, and they fought together and fought each other. And this book does all those things. I don't think that it's incredibly deep in any way. It's just solid artwork and a good nostalgia bomb. And so that was why I picked it and wanted to share it with you guys.
All right. So everything you said, yes. Okay. I felt that the way that they wrote it gave honor to the Power Rangers and the Turtles worlds, made them real, found a way for them to interact. Everyone was in character from my memory of them. So if you have memory of these characters, the toys were played with well.
Yeah.
Right? If this is a Saturday morning cartoon bomb or after school cartoon bomb, and I think the Turtles even showed up on the Power Rangers in episode once, right?
They did do a live action crossover.
Not with the Mighty Morphin, but with a different group, right?
Yeah.
So, and look, the Rangers always change, but the Turtles stay the same. So I'm always going to be down with the Turtles no matter what, except for this latest animated series. I'm not doing that one. But all the other ones, all the comics, all there. But what was missing for me is the thing you said. It's just not that deep.
No, yeah.
It's a fun romp. If you like these characters, or if you have lived the life that Matt has lived with these characters, god damn, you got to have this book. You're supposed to have it. This is for you. This is for you because it does do them justice, right? It does tell the story from someone who knows these characters the way they present it, right? Someone who speaks from that universe, not trying to put their own spin on shit, but really putting these characters how they have been portrayed over the years and making them meld together in a way that works. This is nicely done.
Yeah.
I agree. The art, even when they're standing still, is very vibrant and active and very action oriented. I really, really like the art here. And I like the fact that they're the original Power Rangers. Someone called out Trini, which I don't know if you guys know, I'm sure you do, that the actress that played Trini has passed away. And that kind of gave me the feels. Like, Trini, Jason, Zach, Tommy, like all these characters are there. And I appreciate it. I had the biggest crush on Kimberly. And like all these flooded things came coming back, the memories, the feelings, the emotions.
Oh
the thoughts I had, that actually trying to be a Power Ranger. Like it was so great. And now to mix that, yeah, exactly. To mix that with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they have the pizza combinations, so they're true to form. They're not the Michael Bay's version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're super bulletproof and just badasses. They're lovable. They're Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I really
Still ninja.
Yeah.
yes, still ninja. And yeah, I'd have nothing bad to say about this comic. It was a great ride. Now, will I continue reading? Maybe the next issue or two because they have Shredder in the uh, Green Ranger uniform. That is worth the price of admission for me. Like that combination, I didn't think I needed, but yes, you sold me with Shredder in the
That's
original Green
Yeah.
that's
uniform.
the one reason I picked issue 3 over the other ones, and it is the most recent issue too. But
Mm.
yeah, uh, Green
And
Ranger
then next
Shredder is
issue promises to have Turtle Rangers.
yes,
So you almost right, you almost have to get that because you have to just put that on order, put that in your pull list because
Mm.
Turtle Rangers, right? And which one is and what and because there's no Orange Ranger, which one is Michelangelo going to be?
yeah. So
Is he going to be yellow?
the image that I chose for the background of this episode is that last panel, and
Mhm.
Michelangelo says, "So do we get to pick our own colors?"
Exactly. So now that all that being said, because clearly we all have a fondness for those characters in our
Mm.
past, I don't believe it's flies if you don't. You know what I mean? If you
Oh,
don't have a connection to the turtles or the rangers, I don't know that this book is enough to make you like this is for
this
fans.
this
Go
is
ahead.
yeah, this is definitely for a certain audience. Yeah, if you don't have any connection to these characters or have any memory of watching the shows, I don't think picking this up is going to do anything for you. And I agree. Um, yeah, you have to be a fan. I think of both franchises, and specifically like the early to mid '90s versions of both of the characters. So
Great.
yeah,
But
it's
for
just
us fans, nicely done.
definitely yeah.
I want to end this issue saying "ay ay ay" to quote the
Ay
immutable
ay ay,
house. Ay,
ay ay ay, Rangers.
Yeah.
ay.
All right, moving on. The next issue, Russ, is your first issue.
Okay, X-Men #4 came out in 2020. This is a situation where the leaders of the new X Nation, because we don't have a, do we have a word for them? Krakoa. The
Yeah, the
leaders of the new
Coens.
X
Yeah.
Nation have put on suits and are going to meet with other world leaders and have a nice, well catered meal and discuss how things might work moving forward. At least that's how it seems intended from the beginning. And before I go deep, I leave it up to you.
I know, Emmanuel, you're still not an X Men fan.
Come on, I tried this time.
Does this
Still not an X-Men
does
fan.
this book
Damn
do anything
it.
for you?
Uh,
There's a lot of exposition here, which I mean I'm not mad at because that is true to form. That is very X-Men style, and what they deal with is a lot of politics. I appreciate that. I acknowledge that. I accept that. Um, this was interesting. Once I took away the X-Men element from it, it was interesting to see this triumvirate, like these three powerhouses go and they're in and of themselves, they can take out the whole planet. But they're trying to play nice. And I really like the dialogue, what they were saying about how they learn from the humans and how to not just be so full force, very physical and take over physically. They're now dealing with investments, they're now dealing with subtleties and marketing, not necessarily marketing, but they're just learning from the humans and how to operate. And it wouldn't be clandestine, it would be overt, but it would still be subtle. It would be strategic. So I appreciated that. There was action and kind of like the background, the subplot when you have, the bodyguards kicking ass in the background, which was good. Overall, this would make me want to read the next issue or be an X-Men fan, but I appreciate it for what it was. It was very smart. It was very, the feeling I got. guys, I am a human. Feeling I got was like, how come the humans can't just look at the Homo superiors as the big brothers and coexist, cohabitate, and like they have their role, we have our role, and like it gave me some feelings. So I appreciate just about any book that gives me any kind of feeling anyway, whether it be anger, happiness, joy, whatever. It gave me feels. I appreciate it.
The threat of extinction. That's why they can't play nice.
Yeah.
Something to say. I'm gonna wait though. Go ahead.
So I mean, I read this when it came out. This is, I think, a couple of months old now. Um, the imagery of the cover is pretty powerful, especially given the fact that in the history of X-Men, Magneto and Apocalypse have been, these crazy villains that have taken entire armies of good mutants to take down, and to see them standing with Xavier is crazy.
And he's got a white suit on. Magneto got a white, like, I ain't even finna get dirty today.
No.
Right? I'm look fly in my white suit, and ain't a speck of dust gonna get on me. I didn't spill any of the steak tartare on it. And by the way, this is the effort. This is how you will be destroyed.
Yeah. Hickman is, well, he made a statement with House of X and Powers of X, but this continues to reinforce some of the ideas and the things that he's put in place. And it's just it's a book where it's like, all right, guys, I'm not backing down. Like, this is what I put in place. This is what we're doing moving forward. This is how we're shaping the X verse, as it were. And I liked it. I thought it was a good issue. It could have had a little more action, but the sort of the covert espionage stuff going on the other, like in the other rooms of where they're meeting, is kind of cool. And it's a nice way to throw in a little bit of action without
the suit getting dirty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, overall, I thought it was really good. I'm kind of curious. I know, Russ, you and I had talked about this issue, but only briefly. Why in particular this issue on the run?
Okay, so as you know, been in the comic book game for a few decades. Also been very much a black militant a lot of my 20s and 30s, like Malcolm X Jr., like being articulate enough to make these points, and a reason for black people to come together. And I spoke a treatise not unlike this. I said, if we all got together and created something that was ours, invented something, they would have to play with us, right? They would have to play with us. And all the while feeding us the money that they value, which we will use to build our world, whether it's inside their borders or outside. If we put our energy, so this book was very much a conversation that I have had decades ago, right? And for black people, if black people, because there's a lot of intelligent inventors, all these things, right? Imagine if we were united, for lack of a better way to say it, right? And we, not trying to shy away from the world, we just internalized to come up with amazing things, right? And we came up with a few things. And we patented and do whatever it is we need to do. And people will buy. People bought the pet rock, right? So people will buy anything we come up with, right? Like, what is it? The Super Soaker was made by a black guy. There's all these other things out there, right? If we came together and created a lab where we could create these things together, we could create a world for ourselves in which none of the stuff they did to us would ever matter or ever hold weight. But instead, often a lot of our energy is saying, you owe me 40 acres and a mule, stop hurting me. And I'm not saying any of these are not valid, but they're not building, all right? So this is a treatise that says, we created something, and it's not even our best work, right? You want, your people want, and they will always want it, and you will always pay for it. And you will fund our rise to the power and position, all the while you become less relevant yourselves. Because right? And over time, because of the rules that you have set in place for this world, you will see your own demise and you will help fund it. This is not to enslave you. This is just letting you know what is coming. right? We have tried to work with you. So when for me, it's like this is a conversation that a modern day Malcolm X could have, right? If he had the invention, right? Or two or three inventions. A modern day Malcolm X could have the same conversation to the US Senate or to the, you know what I'm saying? And it be just as viable, right? That's what resonated this, what's what made this resonate for me is that this plan, right? It's not necessarily original, but can you find any flaw in it? Now, granted, if you're Malcolm X, you can be shot, right?
Right.
But if mutants are entirely weapons of mass destruction in and unto themselves, you can't kill them now. Tell me where that won't work. Tell me where America won't just fall in line. And go ahead if you have something. Please
Yeah, well, I was
share.
gonna say they do allude to it because in the first issue of X Force, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
Xavier gets shot and is effectively killed, but they have in place the ability to resurrect mutants um, in this new paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, yeah, there's some stuff where they talk about that, and when you remove that element, yeah, what do? You just kind of have to surrender. I mean,
Right.
of course,
And they're
they're
not, and they're not going to fight. And when you and something you said, Emmanuel, about why can't we just work together? How many black people have said, why can't we just get along? This isn't logic that's working here, right? How they feel about mutants, right? In the world, you see how they write about them and Muty and everything else. Maybe you don't read enough X books to get the full emotion, but uh, there's always been some resonance to being black, to being mutant, even though they also sort of the Jewish conversation is there as well. Uh, uh, but they hate you, and they feel that your rise means they have to is their downfall, right? And it's not the average person I'm talking about; it's the people in power, right? It's not the. I'm not saying the average white person on the street hates black people, wants to kill me. Hey, I'm not going there, right? But the people in power who are making enforce the laws either don't care or have an agenda, right? Because if you don't have an agenda, but you're just going to let it happen, not do anything, and yet you're in power to change. So all of that and my personal experiences resonated with this conversation. If black people back in that time, say Malcolm X time, actually came to the table and said, let's build something together, where might we be now? Right? Might we have our own state? Right? West Virginia? I don't know. We're not taking Idaho or Utah. They ain't giving that up. But I'm not saying that it never has to come to that, right? But once you change the paradigm, that now they have to listen to you, now they have to deal with you, and they cannot kill you. Killing one or two people won't stop us. Isn't not this not a conversation that a certain amount of group of black people could have and make change? Maybe not among the world, but certainly among themselves. And then therefore the world by reflection. So that's why this resonated with me. That's why it's important. I know it's not, I know that's not what was written here, wasn't about me. I know that. However, a lot of what is here speaks to a lot of things that how the world shows up for me as an adult black male of a certain age.
I would
Yeah, the
say,
allegory of Professor Xavier being more Malcolm, or I'm sorry, Martin Luther King, and Eric the Magneto being more
Mhm.
Malcolm X has been a staple for years and years. So I definitely understand. I kind of see it. I see it.
So I wanted, this was my chance to put a book that spoke to that out into the world through the help of this podcast and be able to put my spin on it, what worked for me. So that's why I chose the book. I hope you, and I granted, I would have liked to see more action too, but I did like the covert, like Cyclops, like I need help, and I want to say Malcolm X, Magneto's looking at his fork, doesn't even wave his hand, right? And all of a sudden his powers flare up at the right place, right? I'm like, yeah, buddy, you didn't even see what I just did to you, right? All right, and then and then Xavier taking off his helmet just for 30 seconds to make a statement, said, I love you, brother. I love you. I want to work with you. Right. And I still believe that in my heart. Yet and still put his back on, right? Like you said, Martin Luther King. So there's a lot there that I felt that resonated with me as a comic book reader, as a
Mhm.
former Black militant, and as a Black person of a certain age. So that's why I chose this book. Did that answer your question, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the significance behind Charles Xavier having the helmet? Is it for appearances? Because I don't think he needs it, right?
Okay,
It's
first,
a
go
new
ahead.
form. It's a new form of Cerebro. It's so Cerebro traditionally in the comics has been
Mm-hmm.
like this room, this massive supercomputer. I think what Hickman's doing is he's saying, we have more power in the cell phones that we carry than they had going to the moon
Mm-hmm.
on all of those computers. So why not bring Cerebro down to this one device that is mobile and can be.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Thank you for allowing me to share the book.
All right. Closing comment. If Xavier is Dr. Martin Luther King and Magneto is Malcolm X, does that mean that Apocalypse is Huey P?
Or Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
Very, you it could be Huey P.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few people to choose from, but yeah, Huey P. Newton could work. But you got to realize Apocalypse is older, right? Didn't he
Yeah.
say something about that? I caused the end of the Bronze Age or some shit like that. I was there. I
Mm-hmm.
stopped it.
Yeah.
Right? It was like, damn, that's kind of foul. You have to fuck with the whole humanity like that. But so there's not really in the history of African American leaders, most have been killed, whereas Apocalypse is still alive. So it's hard to find a good parallel.
All right. Moving on. The next issue, Russ, on the stump.
Okay, on the stump is a U.S. in which if you want your bill to pass, you got to kick some ass. So, wow, this man was pretty good. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, so basically, speaker who goes to the floor has to actually have a fight, like a WWF fight, to get their bill to go to the floor. So every politician that you see is not some weak milquetoast. Every politician that is fighting for your rights in the Senate can kick your ass. And I prove it every time they pass a bill. I thought this was great because this is totally the opposite, right? Every politician we have, we can kick their ass. You know what I mean? They are weak physically. We don't believe in them. It's hard to see them as strong leaders. Every fucking congressman is a fucking strong ass leader. And historically, not just in the US, people support strong leaders, whether good or bad. Yes.
Yeah.
Strong leaders, strong personal presence always seem to rise above that. It seems to be the human way. What if that was real now? What if Bernie Sanders had to go against Donald Trump in the WWF fashion? Right?
Just UFC. Just
Yeah,
straight
right.
up.
See? Right? Bernie's like, take the street off. Skinniness. And Trump takes his hair, the hair is flopping. Right? I just thought, what does that mean for the world? Because here's the thing, because we say a lot of bad things against politicians. We all do, right?
Yeah.
But what if they actually could kick ass and put something behind their words? Would the world receive them? You read the book. Tell me what you think.
I would say, okay. I'm gonna break it down a little bit.
Please
I
do.
I do love the lore. Like I did not expect the fact that it proposes that it basically it says what if everybody in the world could fight and that was how everybody resolved every dispute that we've ever had. It's just bare knuckle boxing basically. So that's the question it asks and it answers it. But in the same time, it builds up this weirdly unique alternate history lore that's going on. That aspect I really liked. The artwork is stylized, and I do like the panels that have a lot of detail, but I feel like the artist took some liberties to not go into as much detail with some of the backgrounds. And so that I kind of took me out a little bit. I was like, really? You could have just added a few more lines, just a little more detail. I don't know what kind of deadline they were on when they did this book. So that I didn't really like. It does move. It's got some fluid action to it. I got about maybe a third of the way through the book, and I said, "Well, where's the murder? Because this is a Russ book." And then
Yeah.
dude's head pops off, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, there it is."
I didn't let you down.
I think this is. It feels a lot like Shirtless Bear Fighter, where it's just so absurd, but the stuff that they put in there, they're taking it seriously enough that it's you're okay with it. There's some suspension of disbelief there. Um, will I continue to read this? I don't know that I care so much about the individuals' stories that are going on here, but I would pick up the next issue just to flip through it and see what the hell happens. So yeah, that's my take.
Nice. The art to me, it's as if I live in this universe and I've had a concussion or two. I I like the art and it fits. It fits because it's not so crisp, it's not perfect. It's enough to show you when somebody like really gets fucked up, like when the swollen lip, eye, jaw, all that. It's great. But when it comes to like the beauty in the world, it's not so focused on that. It's more so the beauty in the right hook and the swing and the effect it makes. So I appreciate the art for what it is. It's not great, but it's great for what it is. The plot and the storyline itself, the first thought that came to my mind is, and like the book we reviewed a while back, Animosity, where the animals gain sentience. So what if in this world we still had this very animalistic instinct to fight, to be aggressive, but yet still like our minds evolved enough to like have knowledge to create politics and policies and different governments. So we still have this aggressive nature in order to solve conflict, but we've channeled it in a very political way. So that was interesting to kind of put that together. And I guess I kind of co-sign on what you said, Matt, about the lore. But yeah, I'm interested in it. I will take it a step further and see the next issue and kind of ride this train. I don't think it's going to fascinate me. I'm just interested. I don't think I'd be like, wow, this was great. I'll probably end it and be like, that was enjoyable.
Yeah, I think it lacks in the individual characters. I don't really
Yeah.
care about anybody in particular. It's just fascinating to see them move about in this weird constructed reality.
Mm-hmm.
For me, this is Planet of the Apes,
Okay.
Mm.
right? If you think about the structure when the apes ruled, isn't this it? Maybe not as political, you know what I mean? But they basically, leaders had to be able to strong and kick ass, right?
Yeah.
And if you didn't fucking want to believe in me, fuck you, I'll kill you on the spot and go about my business, right? And fuck your bitch or whatever, you know what I mean? So I felt like this is a human Planet of the Apes, right? And when you think about how humans are and can be, it's not as far-fetched as it should be, for lack of a
Right.
better way to say it, right?
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if you have somebody coming out, if Obama really could kick everybody's ass, that would take that, you know what I'm saying? I mean, just if Trump really could kick your ass, you would look at it differently, would you?
Yeah.
Because he speaks to you like he can kick your ass, right? But you know he can't. What if he really could? And he'd probably be even more powerful, you know what I mean? As far as love and everything else. Like I said, people love a strong leader, right? They don't want necessarily the best leader. They want someone they know can fight physically for their shit. This is one of the challenges Elizabeth Warren has, right? Because there's no doubting her intelligence. There's no doubting her capability. But do you believe that we still treat women equally yet? Are we there? I don't know. Maybe I've gone too far out on a tangent. What I'm saying is, I think this is not that far away from I mean, a lot of third world countries, aren't they this way?
Yeah,
Right?
you can say
The
that.
powerful leader wins, and everyone gets behind them and increases the leader's power because they follow him. But anybody weak, they will immediately get rid of him, kill him, and a stronger person or someone they believe is stronger will kill him and take his place. It's very much a third world conversation. And as I believe the U.S., for lack of a way to say it, is descending a bit from first world to maybe second world, right? Maybe this is the direction we're going, right?
I would.
Because think about it. If Emmanuel came in and says, and we had a debate, Emmanuel says, kick your ass. We could step outside and solve the fucking world problems right the fuck now, right? Damn. He talked to Trump like that? Oh, shit, right? I vote for that motherfucker, right? You see? You see, did I do the dance right? Oh, shit. He told you, bitch. What?
I think it speaks more.
People would be voting all over the place, man.
I think it speaks more to a time when duels still happened.
Right.
Yes.
Than it does the U.S. descending in any regard.
What is the president's name with the top hat? Freed the slaves.
Lincoln.
Right? Can't you see Lincoln taking his rolling his sleeves down, right? Doing one of these, right? Come on, bitch.
Well, I mean, there's the famous
What
duel.
if that continued? Because that could have happened, right? What if that just continued?
Yeah.
And became that world?
Yeah, I mean that's what I was getting at with the lore is, it's sort of an extension of that, when Aaron Burr dueled Alexander Hamilton, like that shit still happened.
And we're supposed to be civilized and stuff.
So, all right. Any final thoughts?
You did not disappoint, Russ. Your murder streak is perfect.
Thank you. Murder.
Murder. Kill.
A murder for you. A murder for you.
All right. Next issue. Manuel, your first one.
The next issue is tomorrow. And this is a world where a virus, a computer virus, has now evolved to take out humans. And it is striking with amazing efficiency. It's taken out seemingly only the adults. No children were affected just yet, but this is just happening. We're seeing the effects of it. It's not taking out everyone. So there might be like some sort of there's technological way to abstain from it. People are getting away from their screens. Maybe that's an aid, a cure, a hope. We don't know. We don't know the effects of it fully, but this is the world and this is tomorrow.
Russ, you want to go first?
Okay. So another post-apocalyptic tale brought by Emmanuel. So here is and I'm noticing a theme here, but maybe that's just me. Here's what I thought about it. I like the idea of it that a computer virus can jump to become a human virus, because the word computer virus really was more of a take on a virus to a human. They're not really the same thing, but here in this book they are. So somehow something on a computer, not unlike the anti-life equation in that other book that that was last week or the week before, in DC, Deceased.
Yeah,
but the anti-life equation was passing from technology to human.
2 weeks ago, I believe.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. So that I get, and there's a story there of how and why it happened. I want to be a fan of the artwork, but there wasn't a panel that says, ooh, you know what I mean? Because there wasn't a panel. Usually, even if the artwork is bad for me, there's usually a panel where somebody murders somebody or something in a real interesting way. And I'm like, okay, I'll let go of my stuff because you murdered well, right? There's a good murder panel, right? Here, I didn't feel like there was that panel that sort of spoke to it for me. So I felt like it was a little less. So I don't mind it being stylish and all of that, but give me something. I was like, damn, this one here, you connected something. I didn't feel I got that yet. All right. Uh, one other thing that was missing for me is all the protagonists are victims, right? There's not necessarily a real hero here. Even the guy who is on the spectrum, right? I forgot what the word he used, is not really a hero. He's just really trying to make it through the day, like an alcoholic in a way. You know what I mean? Uh, so when I looked to who I was going to root for, right, who was going to be my eyes, that character, I didn't really get that. The only person that came close was the autistic guy's sister, mainly because she had some kind of agenda. There was something she was doing. We don't know. I don't know what that is, but she's the close, and she doesn't get a lot of screen time, right? She's on the cover though, right? But you don't really. So I didn't know who to follow, right? I didn't know who should I be caring about. I guess felt like it should be the guy on the spectrum, the autistic guy. I guess I should be caring about him. And I did notice a part where it looks like he could talk telepathically to his sister, right? Which only showed up near the end, right? But in all the book, there's a lot of things to care about as far as caring about humanity. Those things were present. Like the guy who's trying to solve everything but has to stop everything to see his kids. Like the kids who were in the car with their mother when she died, right? Those are some good heartstring tugging moments. So I like those, right? But the kids in and of themselves, I don't really know them. So I don't should I really care about, right? And maybe the black guy who's their parents, maybe I know a little something about him, right? So maybe he's the guy I should be following, but I don't know. But he's not on the cover, right? And I figured they write so much through the eyes of the autistic guy, it should be him. But I only know that he's autistic and just trying to live with life, not, you know what I mean? Because the kids aren't being affected, him being autistic didn't save him. Him being a kid saved him, all right? So I was looking for who is my guy, girl, whoever, all right? And I thought with the cover it was the sister, and yet I didn't get that. It's an interesting concept. I am interested to see what happens next, but not so much so that like I gotta know, because I didn't get this. It was just on the edge of grabbing me and say, Wallace, you gotta read this next one. I didn't feel like that was there for me. That's what I got.
So, my thoughts.
Please.
I'm really not a big fan of post-apocalyptic or zombies. So yeah, I mean that kind of works not in its favor. What I did like though, I really like the artwork here. The faces were some of the most expressive faces that I've seen in a long time in comic books. I do like the concept of the virus transitioning, so from it being a computer virus to a human virus, and I'm intrigued by the Russian hacker character that we were introduced towards the end, and I'm interested to see if maybe Trayvon, the cybersecurity guy, if he does eventually meet up with I can't remember what the Russian's name is. If they eventually are able to meet up and tackle this virus together. But I kind of have to echo what Russ was saying in terms of I don't really know who to follow. There's a lot of characters that we're introduced to really quickly, and no one's really sort of brought to the forefront.
In the preface of the issue, they describe the main character, the kid he's on the spectrum, as being neuroatypical. I've never heard of that before. I've heard of developmentally disabled and like all these other phrases or descriptions, but I've never heard of neuroatypical. So that's interesting. That
Yeah, I had to
they
look it
use
up
that,
actually.
and then yeah, is that a common? Is that something
Actually,
they made up?
it does appear to be a thing.
Okay, interesting.
That's why I said so on the spectrum or whatever, because that sort of came up.
Awesome.
in my investigation of it. Now, is it a popular thing? I do not know.
Gotcha.
But it does appear to be a thing, and it's a real term.
That challenge, the book kind of set out to me for that challenge
Mhm.
to have it from somebody's perspective that doesn't experience life as I do. So they have a different challenge. And when they are the narrator, their internal conflict, what challenges do they face that is unlike my own? Like that was interesting. And Jesus Hervas, the artist, I'm probably butchering the name, but the artist, it kind of stood out to me. I actually kind of like it more than you, Russ. It kind of shines where things typically don't. So it gives that world a veneer to me. Um,
Yeah, I think that this book has potential. This is clearly written for the full 5 issues
mm,
and a graphic novel format. Like this I think this first issue suffers from the fact that it's clearly written for the long term. Um,
yeah.
I'm I'm curious to see where it goes because like in the intro page, there's a section where it says. If we remove the deeply flawed adults, would the young people themselves be just as flawed with the same
Mm,
ghastly predilection for violence
Lord of the
and destruction?
Flies.
Right, yeah. Does it become Lord of the Flies or does it do something entirely different? Um, I think with like the hints of telepathy and um, like you were saying that it was a atypical neural disorder or whatever it was.
mm,
Um, maybe there's I don't know, maybe there's some crazy like Akira level technology meets humanity thing gonna happen um, with the virus. So I think this has potential. The first issue for me was just kind of hard to follow because you don't know which characters are important. Yeah, but I thought it was a decent pick.
yeah, I get that. All right, the next one is Strange Adventures. Now, you've heard of Doctor Strange. This is Adam Strange. He is a space explorer. From my understanding, he is a regular human who got zapped by beta beams, zeta beams, some sort of beam, which transports him to a different planet, universe altogether. Well, not universe, but planet altogether. And his adventures ensue. Before we get into it, he was kind of the poster child for campy, not really taken too seriously style comics. And for the most part, all of them were. But when they all graduated and became more serious and darker, I think it took a while for Adam Strange to take that leap. So that being said, this is one of the more recent incarnations of him dealing with real life issues, and that's a statement.
Russ, you want to go first?
Sure. Okay, so Doctor Strange, Adam Strange is basically DC's version of all these characters. Tarzan,
Mm,
who is the guy? Flash Gordon.
Buck
All these
mm,
Rogers.
people who get put into strange situations against like Adam Strange, right? He does not
mm,
have any powers. He's not especially smart. He is an archaeologist.
right.
So that sort of speaks to his mindset. But he still carries a standard ordinary jetpack and a space blaster. That's his thing. That's what he carried. Don't ask me why no one ever took it from him. But this most likely is John Carter, Warlord of Mars. Are you familiar with that movie? Came out ways
Yes.
back, right?
No.
Yeah.
In which he got sent to some strange place. He can't really explain how he got there. He doesn't know the science of it, but here he
Mm,
is, and he has to fend for himself and fight the good fight, right?
nice.
I don't know why they were like, "Thank you for your service." He didn't really serve America. You know what I mean? And I don't know if he even served this world, but so I'm familiar with him, with the character, right? But the, he's an older character, so
Mm,
he's not someone that you normally follow in modern times. He doesn't really fit. I mean, when you put him in the room, with the Justice League, what does he bring? You know what I
Right.
mean? A jetpack and a gun, right? I'd even take the question over him in most cases,
Mhm.
right? So my thought, so at first I'm like, what's so great about Adam Strange? What I like, now, is this Adam Strange? Okay. What I like about this book is that they're telling two stories at the same time, and they're all connected. Like they're telling the story of the past, and they're telling story of the present, and it just keeps going back and forth, each one informing the other as each of these stories move forward. I like that writing and storytelling that is happening here. Even the art changes when it goes back in the past, like you got a different artist, right? And you can see the difference. It just goes to the next page blatantly, goes back to the present with a very clearly different artist. So I don't know if it's not a clearly different artist, and this artist is killing it because he changed his style in mid whatever, right? So now I got to go back and look and see if it's a different artist. But it's like, again, it's like two books. And let's see, interior cover artists. It looks like they're two artists.
Yeah.
Uh, so that part of the storytelling I liked, right? Because it's not all linear. It is in a way linear, but it's linear moving forward, but swaying while it's doing it. And I thought there's some skill in being able to write like that, right? But even his wife, what does she really do here but support him, right? She loves him clearly, and she hangs on and gives him verbal support, and then she's kind of on her phone and just being there. I don't really see what she brings to that. Obviously, her name is not on the book, so maybe that's why. Because also this was written at a time where the men, Adam Strange came from a time where the men did everything and the women always tried to help, but really it was the man that had to save the day, right? That's where the history of this comes from. Now, I came into this book and I actually had read the first issue because they did the same guy did the series for help me out, man.
Miracle Man.
Mr. Miracle.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, and I read that series and I see a lot of similarities here, right? But Mr. Miracle actually had powers and skills, and he also had he's not actually human. He's from a world where customs and everything are different, and that was an easier sell for me. This one was a little harder to walk through in a compelling way. Like, ooh, I can't wait to see what's next. Because I don't really, it's not only is it not clear to me where we're going, which is not necessarily a problem, I don't know why we're going. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yes, you told me a lot about the character, his connection. Batman's in it for a hot minute. He's a good guy. He wants to do good, but it looks like outside of fighting on Rand, he kind of ain't shit. You know what I mean? Like, what is he doing now? Now you're here. You're a U.S. archaeologist. What the fuck are you doing here? Book signings? What are you doing that matters to the world, right? If you got, and what was that other book? John Carter. He got thrown in there and he fought, but when he came back here, there wasn't nothing to really fight for. So he ended up trying to go back and stay, right? But here he is on Earth. Why? You know what I mean? And maybe that's to be revealed, but I felt like something was missing that says how why this should be compelling for me. That's what I got. Sorry, I know that was a lot.
Yeah. So I know virtually nothing about Adam Strange. I mean, I was able to pull together some very obvious tropes of his character through this one book. I think this is a book for a very specific audience, and that audience gives out Eisner Awards. That's who this is written
Yeah,
for.
you said the same thing. They give out Eisner Awards, and they died years ago.
Yeah, I mean this book is it's another Mr. Miracle by Tom King. I mean he's doing some things here with this character. I think that a certain comic book reader is this is issue 1 of 12. It's got Tom King's name on it. He's taking an old character and doing something a little different with it. And yeah, it's for a very specific audience. I don't know that that audience is me. Um, I love the artwork. I love that it switches between two different styles. I would have been horribly lost if it did not do that because there's some, it's almost written like it's set up specifically to be a TV show or a movie,
With
where
flashbacks.
well, with flashbacks and jump cuts, like
Yeah.
the change in art sort of um, denotes when that's happening.
Mm.
Um, it takes a little bit, like you have to be paying attention as you're reading in order to see that kind of stuff. Um, I get a little bit of Galaxy Quest in this.
Mm.
It's sort of, it's not Buck Rogers or anything like that, but there's a very clear this is what we're playing with. These are the ideas and things that you've come to expect from this type of 50s science fiction that we're gonna mess with here. Which is the same thing that Galaxy Quest did, where it took Star Trek and sort of made a parody out of it. I think that this is a little bit more serious than a Galaxy Quest, but yeah, I mean, overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was hard to follow though, because I don't know a lot about the character, and I already know that it's going to be a huge investment to get through the 12 issues to get all of the payoffs. So that was a little daunting. But I'm kind of interested to see what he does with it. I might pick this up in the middle somewhere, issue
Mm.
4 or 5, and see like, okay, what's going on in this issue? Is there anything happening now that I need to go back and read 2, 3 um, to catch up? And is there anything happening in issue 4 that's gonna want to take me through to issue 12, or to issue 6 if there's 2 arcs? Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think it could be good. It has potential. I'm just not sure on the first issue. Is all.
Gotcha. I'm on the same page as you guys, but I'm more interested in their writing of Mr. Terrific, like that introduction of him, because in this story, he was looking for a detective to clear his name pretty much. So that's why he went to the world's greatest detective, Bruce Wayne, Batman. So
Batman ain't
failing
got time
that,
for that.
Batman
I ain't got
didn't
time
or
for that.
couldn't
Let's call Mr.
exactly.
Miracle.
He got some clowns to punch and some scarecrows to take down. So he called Mr. Miracle, who's not doing anything, just Mr. Terrific. He's not doing anything, just being terrific with his terrifics. But I really want to see him, Mr. Terrific, written in a very unique way. Capitalize not only on his athleticism, but his brain power, his intelligence. I know he has his own series called The Terrifics, which I'm going to get into, but like I'm really waiting to see what Tom King is going to do with that character.
Well, the Terrifics is like DC wants their own Fantastic Four.
Mm,
So
it
it's,
doesn't really feel.
yeah, I know that's it. I'll let you read it for yourself and see what you think. It's not terrible, but he's got Plastic Man, right? As one of the
Mm,
four. So you got the Brain, you got Plastic Man, you got Metamorpho, and you got some girl who can Phantom Girl.
gotcha. All right.
Uh, so yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. I feel like I keep waiting for Mr. Terrific to get his true shine,
You and I both.
but he's got plenty of opportunities. But maybe he's not a good writer. I don't know. But I haven't really seen anything that makes me want to see Mr. Terrific on a monthly basis. Batman makes you want to see him, right? Even Superman does, right?
You'd
For
be an
some people.
amazing platform because you have this essentially blank slate where almost the sky is the limit for his
But
intelligence.
not totally blank. He is an atheist, by the way. He is very clearly an atheist. He's had trauma in his life. He's
Mm,
also not the first one to have this name, right? There was a Mr. Terrific before
mm,
him that was a white dude from the Golden Age, but was it Golden Age, Silver Age, I think Golden Age. Uh, uh, but I don't know if being an atheist is in the way of that because he'll tell you in a second. I don't believe in God. I don't know who writes these or how the marketing works or if that's an issue. Because for some people that can be an issue, right? Because when you look at it, who in the world of DC is an atheist? Can you name anyone other than Mr. Terrific?
Uh, is Bruce Wayne an atheist? I would say he is. I would say that's an argument for every huge intellect, and that could
I
very well be
I don't
a writing point.
I don't think he's an atheist. I just don't think he cares. I think he's doing what God's supposed to be doing, and God's not doing. That's I kind of how I see Bruce Wayne. Because here's the thing: Bruce Wayne would never say he's an atheist, whereas Michael Holt, Mr. Terrific, tell you up front, I don't believe in God. If I can't silently see it, it's not real.
That in and of itself would lend to a great writing point, I think. If you're a mass intellect and you have reasons, the writers could stack like this reason, cite this reason, cite this reason. For there's arguments, there's reasons for and against. And that writer of Mr. Terrific could highlight the writings against.
I could say that, but if Spider-Man ever became an atheist, I think his books would fall off.
Oh yeah, that's the core
So
of who
if
he
I got to
is.
sell these books, can I sell an atheist? And can I get a bestseller? Can I keep this book going?
His existence kind of is predicated upon him being a Protestant. So like him, maybe not a devout, but being raised as Joe Average from Queens. His parents or maybe his aunt and uncle took him to church, so he has that core belief and structure.
Even the Punisher believes in God. You know what I mean? So no matter how, so what I'm saying is, I don't know, and I'm not saying it can't work, and I'm not saying it couldn't be interesting, but for an ongoing monthly series, I don't have any evidence that being a murderer works. That sells books. I should know. But being an
I am
atheist,
one.
uh, uh, being the atheist, you said it, I did. Being an atheist, I don't. I like we had a conversation before this show started about something that's not common, right? Common viewpoint of the world, right? And while I am always open to have this dialogue, I don't know if they would interfere in selling books. Like, are we allowed to have a president that doesn't, it's not a Christian, right? There's a secret thing, like, regardless of what you believe, what is the likelihood there's ever going to be a president that's not some form of Christian? Whether they practice or not, they got to have their own private uh, uh, pastor, preacher, whatever, right? Spiritual guidance, and it has to be some denomination of Christianity, even Catholic, right? Can you become president and not be? Can you even become governor and not be? So I think what I'm saying that to say is there's something hidden here in that we don't often discuss, but it could easily be a factor in best selling or lack of best selling of a book. Because it does exist, like racism does exist, even though we don't talk about it here, right? But it does exist. It is a thing, and it does have an effect in economics and that sort of thing. So, and I don't know that it would stop this book from getting sold, but the fact that it doesn't come up in DC Comics, which everyone is wholesome initially, right? There's no Punisher in DC Comics. They did have one called Hitman. I don't know if you ever read that book.
Well, Vigilante.
Yeah. But even then, he probably went to go to confession after he killed people. I know Frank Castle does. But anyway, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to. I just say I agree it could be interesting. I just don't know if it's enough, if it'll sell a book, because a lot of smart people.
Right.
Batman's smart.
All right, gentlemen, we've gone through an hour and 15 minutes. 6 issues.
Over again.
Yeah. There was an article that was posted towards the end of the show notes. I think, Russ, you posted that? I'm not sure.
Yes, I did.
Which is an article by CBR talking about Marvel Unlimited versus DC Universe. Which is worth your money? I was kind of curious what you guys think about this topic. I'm sure Russ was too. That's why I posted the link. I'll start, and I will say that I've had Marvel Unlimited multiple times. I get it, I cancel it, I get it, I cancel it, I get it, I cancel it. The reason that I do that is I wait for the codes. They're always posting codes on Twitter and Facebook. So like the most recent one was read for 60. If you had $60, you can get an entire year of Marvel Unlimited. And the issues are always 6 months behind at least. So the newest stuff you don't get for 6 months. So I a lot of times will get Marvel Unlimited for a month, catch up on everything that they have, cancel it, and then re up. Marvel Unlimited for me is worth it at a $5 a month price point. Um, but there's just too much to read, and once I've caught up on the stuff that I do care about, there's no reason for me to keep it until I wait another 6 months and re up. Um, and I'm not a huge DC fan, so I have not taken the plunge with DC Universe because that's a whole other commitment. It's not just the digital comics. There's other stuff that goes along with that. So
Okay,
I'll leave
so
it to
I
you
do
guys.
subscribe currently to DC Universe. Uh, so there are some differences. First of all, it's usually at least a year before the books show up.
Okay.
So it's a little longer wait than Marvel. But what this DC has, and DC is cheaper generally, maybe not for that sale, but month to month, it's a few dollars cheaper a month. And in the scheme of things, $2, $3, what difference does that make? What DC does have is all the animated series. You get that also. You get the new series, you get the new live action series included in that price, right?
Right.
You can go back to the original Batman. So DC is giving you more, though I will say a lot of the books are still curated, meaning you may get a run, but you won't get all the Batman. You know what I mean? You won't get all series. You may get the first 6 books or the first 12 books, and then the rest of them, who knows when they're going to show up. Uh, but they have a thing called DC Daily, which is a bunch of casts of not from movies, but people who are into the fan and the lore, and they read issues together and tell us about it. They have guest stars, writers, actors, artists that bring that they interview and stuff like that, and they have a daily show, and half of it shows on YouTube, and the other
Okay.
half that you can't see on YouTube, you can see the entire thing, and it's every day. It's called DC Daily.
All right.
So there's a lot here, more here for your money. That being said, I still and if I compare it to Marvel, I feel like it's worth more for your money because you get all the video, right?
Yeah.
And now let me ask you this because I have never paid for Marvel. You know how in Comixology they can go panel by panel. Can you do that in Marvel also?
Yes.
Okay,
And
because you can definitely go ahead.
they've done it for a lot of old books too that are not on Comixology, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have to check because I do have Comixology Unlimited right now. So I'll go through and see if they've got some of the same stuff. But um, yeah, the panel by panel, the guided view
Mm-hmm.
is paramount for me. Like I love that.
I agree.
Um,
And so DC, and one other thing is that DC has a Roku app and an Xbox app. So not only can you watch with the same money you're paying, can you watch all these shows, including the new ones, Titans and all these other things, right? And Harley Quinn. You can also go panel by panel on your television.
which is cool. I like that
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
So for whatever they're charging per month, I'm trying to see if I can see. Uh, it's $60 a year
Okay.
is the annual thing, and you got to wait longer for the books, but you get all the video, and they go way back, and they even remasters. Remember the old uh, uh, Billy Batson Shazam? They remastered that, and it's all here. The remastered Batman Beyond, the remastered Batman anime series is all here. You can watch all of it, right? You can go way back and watch all of those things. So if you are a fan of DC, I think for that price point, getting the video and the books and the guided panel by panel view, I think it's worth it. Now, DC is just one comic book company, and I like to read a lot of different comic book companies.
Yeah.
So that there is no one ring to rule them all. But I feel like economically, DC is a better choice. The question is, are you the person that has to make mine Marvel, or does DC give you enough?
Emmanuel, what are your
I
thoughts?
I personally, all right, when I first got started on reading comics digitally, it was with Marvel, hands down. It was with the Ultimate Universe. I remember it fondly. That's how I would get my X-Men at the time and Spider-Man, the that series. So, and they still do to this day, like have the codes where you can have the physical copy and the digital copy. That was great. That was wonderful. Um, I think that was in my late teens, started doing that. And then as time went on, I stopped buying comics as much and I started getting into more so the DC animated movies that just kept coming out. They kept knocking out the ballpark with movies. Now they have a bunch of series out. And if you remember Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it was good. It's ending, or if it hasn't ended already. But then the Eternal, or not Eternals, I'm sorry. The what is that one series that failed?
Oh,
It,
Inhumans.
Inhumans.
Yeah.
Inhumans. They didn't do all that well. So Marvel's having a difficult run at it when it comes to other content. Now the movies knocking it out the park. They're they're great. DC has a problem with movies, but when it comes to uh, the animated movies or the television series, Marvel doesn't hold a candle to them. Marvel still has good animated series, but there's been through so many iterations of Avengers, the animated series, and I think for the most part, I would go for DC. I would buy DC. Now, it breaks my heart to say that if I had to choose, because I still love me some Marvel. Marvel still holds a place in my heart, but DC is where it's at when it comes to buying either or. For it gives me the greatest bang for my buck, I think.
I
And
would.
remember, Marvel, if you want to watch the movies, you got to get Disney, right? So
Yeah.
Marvel doesn't connect. If you want to watch the
Yeah.
TV shows, you got to get
And
Disney and pay for Marvel.
how much are they adding? Like it seems like it's not like Netflix where they're adding content all the time. It seems as if it's frozen for now and they haven't added on to it. That Disney library is not an ever expanding thing, at least not right now. It just you bought the bundle, you bought way back in the Disney vault, but now you have what you have until the Mandarin or Mandalorian comes back out with another series.
Yeah, they do come out with something every month, but they're all not anything special.
Yeah, like didn't
Like
they
Yeah.
though?
the
Didn't we
real
watch them?
hero in you. There's a real heroes, you know what I mean? Marvel's real heroes, but there's not and they do have what are the shorts, Pixar shorts. And they
Yeah.
have a lot of new Pixar shorts. There are a few things there. Remember, Disney doesn't cost that much, right? In the scheme of
Well,
things. But if you have to add that to your Marvel monthly or annual subscription, then it becomes costly.
yeah, I was gonna say that if when you're strictly talking about what Marvel's offering versus what DC's offering digitally,
Mm-hmm.
the DC Universe proposition is a better value proposition for the consumer because
Yeah,
you get the comics, you get the shows, you get all that stuff bundled together in one package that's significantly cheaper than $10 a month for comics and another $7 for shows, basically.
I think
Um,
that's the selling point to have
yeah.
it all in one easily accessible area, and you get all of it instead of having to have this prescription subscription here and then a sub subscription here and then that there. That's just too cumbersome for the average consumer, i.e., me.
All right. Good conversation, guys. This is a good week, I think. And even went off on some more deeply political stuff. A tangectory, if you will.
Trajectories, yes.
And
All
on
right, I'm
that
going to use the
note,
restroom.
all right, we're heading out.